Sorry for that. Thank you for
Thanks
watching.
for watching.
We're live. Okay.
Welcome to ESO Live. We're very happy to be back on a not a webcam.
Not a webcam, not 7:30.
I am Jessica Folsom. For anybody who hasn't been here before, I'm one of the community managers for ESO.
I'm Gina Bruno, and I cut Jess off all the time.
Nope.
So that's what I do.
So thank you all so much for joining us. Sorry for the short delay. We're very excited to be here, and we're going to jump right into the show. So let's take a look at who we have. Oh, nope. We're going to take a look at
we have
today's
a show schedule.
We have a dragon.
Well,
so we're going to
dragon.
go right into systems and combat discussion with lead combat designer Eric Roble and systems designer Chris Balzer. We're going to start with the level up advisor and skills advisor, then go into the home storage system, the outfit system, and then into combat updates for update 17 with Eric.
After they wrap up, we'll be discussing just a tiny bit of news. And then, of course, we will have a giveaway sometime during the show.
Yep.
Probably towards the end.
Yes.
All right, so to start things off, we'd like to introduce Eric Roble and Chris Balzer.
Hey!
And they're showing off their outfit system flair right now. We hope you all enjoy it.
Indeed.
Very nice, very nice.
It's something.
People are going to think that that's coming to the game now.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine?
Oh, you tease.
My immersion. I can't. So Eric is in charge of the combat team, deals with all of the abilities, item sets, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then Chris,
Player abilities, yeah.
Chris mainly focuses on a lot of the systems. So what did you focus on for update 17 mainly?
The outfit system.
The outfit system.
Ooh, man. That outfit system was pretty
People love
cool.
It is cool. It is on PTS now for anybody who would like to give it a try. Do you want to hop in game? And then if you want to talk a little bit about the level up advisor and the skills advisor, two of our new systems coming in update 17. Now, this is mainly for newer players, right?
Yeah.
Folks who need maybe a little bit of guidance on what to do, because our game's pretty massive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very complex. There's tons of different abilities. There's tons of different item sets. There's a lot of different ways that you can customize your character with champion points and which abilities am I going to have on my bar? How am I going to morph these abilities? So with this system, we wanted to
Kind of ease players into that.
Yeah, like instead of, like overwhelming them with too much, just give them a little bite, a little chunk at a time. So every time the player levels up, we give them a new hint about one of the different mechanics or things that you can do in the game to fight or make your character better. And, some of that stuff is heavily involved with the stuff Chris is doing. It's, systems like crafting, introducing those to people on top of, just giving them items, teaching them about sets.
It's kind of like a tutorial.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tutorial over all 50 levels of your character's lifetime.
And we are going to be playing on an internal server today, so if you see anything that looks a little unusual, it should be pretty close to PTS, but it is on internal.
And also, just to jump in, we know a lot of you are saying in chat that there's some lag happening and a little bit of stuttering. We do see you. We are working on it, although I'm not sure if you are even getting my message. But we'll post it in chat also. Please.
Yeah, so the level up advisor is kind of how we explain all the different rewards and things people get each level. What Chris is doing here is the skills advisor, and this is to help teach people how to set up a build. And he's going through all these recommended abilities for players.
So it recommends abilities, morphs.
Yep, and you can also, there's this nice feature where you can buy the ability right from the menu there, because you just click on it. You're like, hey, I want Executioner, and
That
it's
is
like,
handy, yeah.
and it
Super
like
convenient.
scrolls to the correct pane. I guess you have all the weapons and stuff, right, on this character?
I do. This character is pretty skilled out.
Yeah, he's buff. So if you were not to have dual wield though, for example, and you clicked on a dual wield ability, it'll pop open the dual wield skill pane and say you need to equip 2 one-handed weapons and kill a monster to unlock the dual wield skill tree. So that's like the, you know, the basic entry point of teaching people like, how do I even get these skill lines? And then it goes into further detail about which abilities to use and in what order should I be unlocking different abilities and stuff like that.
And it helps recommend abilities based on what type of role you might be interested in too.
Yeah, so we made, for every class, we have 5 different builds. So we start people off on like a really basic beginner build of like, this will be good for, you know, just going around and fighting monsters.
Very versatile.
Yeah, it's flexible. It's got like a bunch of stuff where you can heal yourself and, you know, some damage abilities. Yeah, kind of a little bit of everything, just so you can try things out.
And I've been following a Magicka build. This is a stamina character, so I should have been using this the whole time.
Oh yeah, there you go. So they each have like a cool little like flavorful description to give you an idea of like what types of things you'll be doing with that build. We call out specifically like, hey, this is a Magicka build versus a stamina build to give you an idea of like, how should I be spending my attribute points with this build?
And all of these are just recommendations. If you wanted to do your own, you could, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can choose anything.
And yeah, it has been nice. We've gotten like feedback on the PTS and stuff where people morphed an ability and they morphed it to not the advised version, and it's like it throws up this like yellow exclamation mark, and then
It's doing that right now because I took the Magicka morph.
and then it's like ill-advised morph
Are
and
you
like
sure
red
you wanna
text
do
and
that?
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we don't want to like make people feel bad about like picking the other morph and stuff
Right.
like that. It's like, well, we're recommend like this is, you know, but the other one will be fine too, right? It's
And
not
this
like,
is really just to make like a well-rounded character that you can use in a lot of
exactly.
scenarios.
But we want people to experiment and customize and try out different things.
Right.
So we've changed like a bunch of messaging with that, so it doesn't have this like crazy like in your face pop up about it.
Yeah.
And then like we've got like these highlights are a little bit more pronounced than they were originally, so you can tell like really easily when you're glancing at it which are the recommended abilities if I'm just, you know, have the assassination tree or the bow tree or whatever open.
And when you say originally, you mean from the first time we put this on PTS? 'Cause
Yes.
Just to be clear, this
Yes.
isn't live yet, but it will be pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming up, man. Comes up fast.
Next month.
So what about the level up advisor? So you get a bunch of different rewards from that. There's milestone rewards, which is
Yeah,
kinda cool.
so every 5 rewards, it's sort of like a bigger, cool thing. So
5
you're kind of
levels.
like, so you're like working towards, you know, what's that next milestone I'm gonna get, and the milestones are really cool things. Like you could get costumes, you can get mounts, and we're trying to show off like the whole like cornucopia of different things in our game. So like towards the end at the later levels, you can even get like transmute geodes, and we have like an outfitter system token.
Yeah.
You know, we're showing off like bag space, bank space, you know,
Very
to help teach people about that. And a cool little feature we added throughout the development to give people even more information on these new features for people who really want to like dig in and get a lot of details. When you level up, you can hit a button press and it'll open a help menu that corresponds to the tip that you just read, because the tips are just like a one sentence sort of thing to just like give you an idea, not like, oh, I want to read like a whole novel. Just like, here's kind of how it works, like a broad overview. So if you want to dig in on those details, you can get that too. So
Great.
we went through some iteration and made a lot of really good improvements to the system. So it is really cool. We've gotten some feedback on PTS, which has been really nice. I know it's kind of hard to test leveling a character from 1 to level 50.
Yes.
But people, I saw a couple threads where people had gone through and they were just really excited about the rewards and seeing all the
that's
different
great.
things
Yeah.
they got.
It seems like it would be a really good addition if you've got a friend who hasn't played the game yet, or a family member you want to bring in.
Absolutely.
This will kind of help teach them the game and give them some cool stuff as they're going along the way. Awesome.
And yeah, we also, when we were doing this, to do that help def linking I was talking about, we built some new completely help defs that weren't in the game before and linked them up. So even people, you know, who have played the game may want to go back and check all that stuff out to, you know, refamiliarize themselves or get a little bit more detail about some of the mechanics.
Great. Okay. Do we have any questions about these two systems? If not, we can.
Everybody just they really like the idea of having the milestone rewards and just kind of giving people a little something each level to just
Help you out
encourage
on your
them,
journey,
and
yeah.
help them out as they go through, because there is a lot.
Yeah, and we tried to be kind of strategic about like what level we put the things, and what the rewards are. Like at level 10, you have access to the dungeon finder. So we're like, oh, that around level 10 is a really good time to give people weapons. So that, you know, oh, I want to be a healer, I really need a resto staff, or I want to be a tank, so I really need a shield. So we try to place things, you know, in times that sort of made sense for what players would be doing. And like the early stuff, we wanted to really emphasize like what are the most important things. So we have like
a mount.
Yeah, mounts. Like you know, you don't want to be schluffing around on foot all the time. Also, like
Caramil's a big place.
yeah, and like food is really important in our game because you get a huge bonus to your stats, and it's just like there's no reason not to have food pretty much all the time, right? It just makes you more powerful. So like we really wanted to hammer that home. So we actually give people food and drink just to like show them all the sort of facets of that mechanic and the different things they can do with
your
it.
character while you're adventuring.
Great. So again, this is mainly for a lot of our newer players, just to give them some guidance, give them a little something each time they level to kind of go through the game. For everybody, though, I know they're very interested in home storage. You
Yeah.
want to chat about that for a little bit?
So I didn't.
Long-awaited feature.
I didn't have much of a hand in home storage. That was actually designed by Direct Superior Phil, who people may
Phil's
have
been on
seen.
the
Well, thank
yeah,
you, Phil.
he's
Yeah.
been on
Oh,
the,
yeah.
he's been on the show before.
He does good work.
Yeah, but so here I have 2 storage chests. These storage chests key
That's a nice
in.
chest.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that funny. So they come in 2 sizes, small and large. Near my chests, but they can't take
Can
anything
they see
from
what's
them.
in your chest?
No.
Okay,
Yeah, this is private just for you.
gotcha.
And then the large one holds 60.
Oh, we don't have any sound. We should stop talking.
We should stop talking.
Oh no!
When it comes back, maybe we can.
Totally do it on purpose.
Well then.
I think our options would be stop the stream altogether
Okay.
and then restart it.
Okay.
And that's our best option.
Okay.
Wait, now they're saying it's. Everybody just.
Wave your hands.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Both streams right now.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut the streams and we'll be rations.
Telvar vendors in the Imperial City, and you can buy them from Rollislalu's inventory, anywhere Rollislalu can be found.
And are the costs different between the two?
I mean, yeah, because they're different currencies and they all come from different sources and different rates.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
them from Telvar, from
Rip
Ritz,
vouchers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like
8
one
crowns.
that you buy for Telvar.
Right. There's well, 2 that you buy for Telvar.
Okay.
They're the same.
not
They're the
8
same
Telvar.
everywhere. It's the same 8 everywhere, but you can buy them 3 different ways.
Okay, so if you like to PvP,
Right. If you like to
Just-
PvP, you can hang out in Imperial City and kill people and take all their stuff.
right on, right on.
And if you really like crafting, you can hang out right next to Rollislalu and wait for him to stare at you a little bit harder. And if you just want to buy them for crowns, you can just buy them for crowns.
We should really outline this
There you go.
somewhere, like maybe the patch notes.
There was someone here responsible for that.
Right.
So you can put anything you can put in your inventory.
Anything you
Yeah?
can put in your bank, you can put in these.
Maybe the guy who had an inventory full of lockpicks can put them in here.
Speaking of
That's a
lockpicks,
lot of lockpicks.
I shoved a bunch of lockpicks in my large chest.
Well, look at that. Maybe you were the guy.
Yeah, maybe I was the guy.
Were you a lockpick guy?
No,
No.
no, I wasn't the lockpick guy.
And
I
you can name these too, yeah?
don't know.
The
The
chest
chests.
and the coffer.
Yeah, I don't know if you can actually. Oh, hey, wow.
You can.
Oh,
Look
man.
at that. Doing it live.
Okay, so there's a character
Text
limit.
Mhm.
So the idea with this, I think, is that if you wanted to have all your crafting materials in one
Yeah.
coffer
No
chest,
numbers.
or if you wanted to have all your lockpicks in one,
I mean, we won't
Yeah.
judge if that's what you want to do.
all your food.
And then it, you know,
Ooh,
it shows
it's
its
got the
name.
mouse over name,
So
nice.
that's pretty good
This is a really
because then
nice
you can
way
be
to-
like, This is my potions box.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my random tempers box.
There you go.
This is my box of stealables that I really like to hang on to, like my stuffed centipede with wiggly eyes.
Yeah.
And
You
these
never
are
know
shared-
when you're gonna need that. You gotta hang on to it.
I like to link it in chat all the time, personally.
And these are shared across homes?
These, yes. So collectibles are cool. Any collectible you place in a home is the same collectible across all of your homes.
Awesome.
Which generally has no impact, but when it's a container that holds your
Yeah.
stuff, then it's the same inventory across all your homes.
The plot thickens.
Right. So, yeah, so people who have been saying that they want more storage and they want to organize their storage better, this should help them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. And these don't count against your item limit in your homes, with the exception of just the chests themselves. With the
Right.
So
items
this is
in
one.
them.
It counts as one, not 60.
Yes, or 8
Yes.
if you have all of them.
So moving on, we know everyone really wants to hear about the outfit system and kind of see it in action a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
You're
Yeah.
close by, right?
Close by to what?
To an outfit.
An outfit
A
station?
former.
An
Oh,
outfit
there it is.
station that's
Oh,
conveniently right
man.
behind me?
Wow, it's like you planned that.
It's like we talked about this.
Weird.
So these are formerly known as the die stations, right?
Well, this has always been an outfit station. I didn't place a die station in my house because
oh,
I
you're
wanted,
in a house.
I
I'm
wanted
sorry.
a sewing machine. But all the die stations in the world have been upgraded into these outfit stations. These outfit stations are how you customize your outfits in the outfit system, but they're
Yeah.
also how you dye your stuff
Okay.
in the base die system.
Multifunctional.
So you can see the gear that I'm actually wearing here, and dyeing works the same way it always did. I can randomize my dyes, and it doesn't cost anything because it's just my actual outfit. And you know
Yeah. Sweet.
there's nothing new there. That's just life. But if I, I can apply an outfit that I've already made,
Ooh.
so I can show
Very
off something that
nice.
looks really cool.
Well done, Chris.
Or I can go into
What?
Fancy.
That's a
I can
crazy
go into
robot.
an outfit. Well, it's not a robot. It's just a helmet, an ordinary helmet,
It's like
man.
Clockwork City.
Well, it's only in the hat.
Yeah.
Everything else is not Clockwork
That is
City.
really cool.
Oh, real quick, I see a few people talking about the amount of vouchers that this is going to cost. We're actually reducing that in
We
next
are.
week's PTS patch.
Yes, we heard your feedback and talked about it internally in the systems team and decided we should probably not do what we were going to do, and then we did something else.
Hey, that's what PTS is for.
PTS, feedback in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the costs that are currently on PTS, that's all subject to change. You know,
Right.
that's why we're
yeah.
in a testing
yeah,
cycle.
we're constantly monitoring feedback and constantly, discussing things internally and seeing what can be done and what should be
Yeah.
done.
So when you start into when you go to an outfit station, you have one outfit slot.
Yes, everyone has one outfit
Defaulted.
slot by default, and this is what I do with mine. You all saw it a second
You
ago.
did some good things.
I wanted fur trim, and so I went all in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you can jump to the crown store if you need more than one outfit slot, or if you want more than one outfit slot. They're one crown on PTS currently, but I mean,
That's
Wow.
not going to be the
That's
live
cheap.
cost.
yeah, that's not going to be the live cost. And it
and you
shows.
get 10 there, it looks like?
Yes, it shows the number that you have unlocked. Once you've hit
It's a pretty good number.
all 10, you can't buy anymore because you can't buy anymore.
You're full.
Yeah, you're.
Can't.
That's it. You're done.
Not
And
too much.
and anytime you you can also rename your outfits. So like I can be like
Instead of outfit one, it'd be like badass fur outfit.
Yeah. There you go.
you can also swap your weapons and customize your front and back bars separately. So you may have seen when I was checking out the skills advisor, this is a dual wielding and bow character.
Yep.
And so I wanted my dual wielding weapons and my bow to look cool with my outfit, so I changed it.
There you go.
I
And in
saw
case-
someone in chat asking if this is also going to be on console. It will. It'll be on
Absolutely.
PC,
Oh, yeah.
Mac, and Xbox One and PS4 in February.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Very
for
exciting.
a preview of the console UI,
Ooh.
it looks a bit like this.
We like those icons.
Oh, cool.
Except I
Can't click
am not
buttons.
actually using a controller, so
Use the
Yeah.
left bumper, Chris. Come on.
yeah. So I'd love to show you how to actually customize your outfits on console, but I'm using a mouse and keyboard on something that was never meant for mouse and keyboard, so I feel a little silly. Right. So yeah, it's gonna
There you
work.
go.
It's gonna work great on
Back.
console. It'll
Yeah.
be great.
Rejoice.
Solid.
Yeah, so when you start an outfit from scratch, you can see all the gear that you're actually wearing. One of the things that I actually really wanted to happen in the outfit system, and then we did it, is the ability to dye a slot persistently. So if I always just wanted to have a nice jelly blue hat, no matter what's actually on my head, you know, I can apply that change, and then all of my helmets are blue forever. And that's
cool.
That is the life I've chosen.
Oh, that's outfit 3 is blue head.
Yeah, outfit 3 is blue head.
Yeah, that's nice because with dyeing equipment, right? If you get a new piece,
Right. Anytime you change it out,
now you
then
dye it
your
again.
dyes have been lost.
Yeah.
So
you can
if
take
you're
that hat off and put another hat on.
yeah,
It's a blue head.
I'm not sure I have any other hats. I don't have.
You
any
have a
other
lot of items, but you have to like pull through those bags. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to dig through my. I don't want to search my purse on screen.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, but if you're one of those people like many friends of mine who just wants to have everything black, all black everything.
Oh, I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Then you can be like, all right,
Black,
we'll
like
do
my
that.
soul.
And then
All black everything.
you've got your all black everything.
There you go.
All day.
Once you get into the deeper customization, any motif that you've learned, you learn all of the visual components of that motif. So
And that is
I've got a lot of motifs.
This you have like everything.
I have like everything.
Wow.
But you can be like, all right, I like this cool Minotaur head.
Yeah.
Let's look at my shoulders. I want something that's, I don't know, kind of bony. And then we'll go with chests. We're creating something majestic, guys. We're all
I
in this
see it
together.
happening.
You're
I'm really
a spirit
excited.
beast, I think.
So. we
Oh,
can
so
go
somebody
with,
was asking, how do you hide your helmet now? On PTS, this is currently bugged.
Yes, this is currently broken on PTS. We're working hard to fix it. But once you, so to start from the top, we're removing it from the gameplay options because a lot of people actually didn't know it was there, even today. It's been there since we launched the game, and it's been hiding there, lurking in your options, waiting for you to stumble upon it and realize that your helmet can go.
But now it feels like it's part of the game.
Right. We're integrating it into 2 systems. The first being the outfit system, so you can hide your helmet if you're on a world in which it's fixed. And then we'll just save this half-done thing. And then it will also be in your hat collectibles. So you jump into your hats, and it's right there as well.
Man.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. So the difference, the one thing that you lose in doing it this way, as compared to the way it was before, is you will no longer be able to hide the headgear in your polymorphs, which applies to basically the Draugr polymorph and the skeletal assassin polymorph, and not much else. So that is unfortunately something that's just going to go the way of the dodo until we find a way to bring it back.
Okay.
Chris, I want you to bring back the dodo.
Hashtag bring back the dodo.
Eric, there are no dodos in Tamriel.
Oh. That's why you
But there could be.
you could be that man.
Yeah. So after we've crushed Eric's dreams, we can finish
Again.
for the 3rd time. You know, you can finish throwing together an outfit, and that didn't take for some reason. There we go. So you just do whatever
It's like
style
really
you want.
quick and easy to just
Yeah,
grab these
I mean,
different
you
things.
can also just randomize styles
Oh,
and turn
gosh.
into a weird leather man with a big head.
A
That's-
leather
that's
man.
a lot different than what you're doing before.
Yeah, this is pretty different. These are not choices I would myself make. But, you know, it might give
Hey,
me the
you
seed
do
of an
you.
idea.
Yeah.
All right.
It's cool. Every
So
time
we
you
got-
press randomize, it's like totally.
Yeah, we got some bird thing
pretty
going on
random.
here. This is something I can work with. So yeah,
Now, I mean, you can. Didn't somebody figure out like how many possible
why yes.
amounts there are for this?
Yeah,
It's
it's
something.
like
How many
lot.
possible combinations?
Seems
There
like
are a
quite a
lot.
few.
We came up with 3 different sums. CJ, hit us with the smallest, if you please. So, if you are going only with the visuals that you can have visible all at the same time, so, you know, your weapons that you can actually see, your armor that you can actually see, excluding die permutations, we're looking at 22.90086 sextillion, which is a
Wow.
lot.
That's it.
That's a lot.
That just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, man.
And then once you get into including die permutations, but with that same general paradigm, you get into 2.28715
Whoa.
septenvigintillion, which is
That's a number.
a little bit more.
That's a lot of zeros.
A little bit more than all of the hydrogen atoms in the visible known universe.
Jesus.
A little bit. And then once you get into absolutely everything that you can do with the system, which is to say, 6 different weapon appearances on your front bar, 6 different weapon appearances on your back bar, everything customized, all dyed everything, you get into 406.11 septenquagintillion, which is 4.06 times 10 to the 176
I can
power,
listen to Chris say numbers all day
I
long.
know.
This is great.
which is enough for every hydrogen atom in the known universe to have an outfit of its own and to have done an outfit for every other hydrogen atom in the known universe.
That's a world I want to live in.
And some change.
I feel like we switched to Cosmos.
Carl Sagan's
I'm
really
in
cool.
disguise right now as a
Neil deGrasse Tyson is also really cool.
What is it? Say it again.
Septenquagintillion.
I don't believe you.
That's a real number. Look it up.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah,
what
go
you're
ahead
saying
and look it
is
up.
you can be you.
Yeah, you can
You
be.
are a unique
You can do what you
individual.
want to do. Be the you want to be. Be the
Well.
change you want to see in Tamriel.
That's cool.
Something. Yeah. So
Wow,
there's
that's
a lot of
amazing.
stuff, and you can kind of just like randomize all day and not see the
Yeah,
same
it's
thing
awesome
twice.
just looking through
Wow.
all these different options.
So one of the other things that this brought is weapon dyeing.
Yes.
Hooray!
You can dye your weapons.
Oh
Yes.
my God! Finally,
There was a
our day is
guy.
here.
There was a guy on YouTube. Every time we would post an ESO video in the comments, he would ask about weapon dyeing, and I hope, weapon dye guy, I hope you're seeing this.
I
This is
remember.
You remember him?
Yes.
This is my blue
on the
orange bow.
forums too. You would always pop in and be like, "Weapon
Weapon
dye?"
dyeing? Weapon dyeing?
Yeah,
Now-
we did it.
The wrinkle is you can only dye your weapon within the outfit system. You can't actually dye your weapon when you're just looking at your weapon. But within the outfit system, it can be any color you want.
Yeah, but you can do
It
that
can
thing
even
where you
be
just dye
all
the
black.
color, right?
That's
Whoa!
Yeah, so my all black everything has all black swords, all black bows.
That's
And
great.
because
This
because
is-
I mentioned this is the power user level of functionality.
Is it gonna be
We-
hot pink?
Well, maybe. But that's not how all black everything works, Eric.
I mean, I guess that makes
Definition,
sense in
all.
some ways.
So I mentioned the 6 front bar, 6 back bar appearances. That's something that was really overwhelming and really confusing to most people interfacing with the system when we were testing internally. So you can only see the weapons that you actually have equipped. However, every
Yeah.
outfit can track main hand, offhand, shield, two-handed, staff, and bow all separately at the same time.
Wow.
Which means all black everything will be all black everything forever,
we have
no matter what I'm using.
I can't look at our sound guy without laughing. We have
somebody's vacuuming.
the cleaning crew is outside vacuuming, and yeah, our audio guy is like, "What is that?"
So
One
can you have a different color for your shield versus your two-handed versus your bow? Like all 3 of those?
Yes.
Different ones?
You can also have different main hand and offhand appearances for your front bar and your back bar if you're that sort of person who wants to dual wield on both bars.
Cool. I mean, if you're gonna do well in both bars, you want to look different.
Yeah. One of the other things that we did with the outfit system, and players playing on PTS will have seen this already, is any weapon that shares an animation set, so weapons that share a skill line, and then also staves, because staves just work that way. You can have any appearance for that weapon that is viable for that skill set. So, for example,
Sword.
I'm using a dagger and a sword,
Yeah.
but I can have axes on there.
So you can make a sword look like an axe.
You can make a sword
or
look like
a
an axe.
mace.
I've got the same axe on both hands, even though this is actually a dagger and a sword.
Because you're dual wielding, and it looks like all the animations are going to be the same regardless
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
But you can't make a
That's
bow
cool.
look like a sword because then
Right.
you'd be.
You can't have a
Yeah,
sword
yeah.
that shoots arrows.
That's
Yes.
all within the same weapon.
That's not this
family.
game.
Although next weapon line, we're doing it.
Or
That's all
maybe a
you want.
vacuum. Maybe a vacuum. That can be the next weapon. So everyone was like, "Bring in the vacuum guy." So we had a couple questions. Just wanted to clarify
Sure,
a
hit
few
me.
things. The outfit station that you see there, is
Yes.
that how all of them look? Because somebody was saying it looks like it might be for an ordinary character.
This outfit station is how all of the outfit stations in the normal
In your
world of
homes?
Tamriel
Oh, okay.
will look. In the Clockwork City, we have a very brassy outfit station.
Ooh, fancy.
But regardless, it is ancient elf on all of them, yes.
Just curious.
There's no specific reason. It's just cool.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's good.
And somebody was asking about being able to change the style of like the asylum weapons, VMA,
Yes.
ESA. Is that
Yes.
possible?
In fact, like asylum weapons, monster mass and shoulders. Like I'm actually wearing Grothdar, but my outfits.
Yeah, pops to whatever.
My outfits aren't Grothdar. And it's the same with asylum weapons. It's the same with any other master weapon that you
So
might
any
be using.
motif you know on your account.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So let's talk real quick about paying gold to dye your armor and weapons. Can ESO Plus members still dye separately
Costumes.
and not have to pay the gold cost?
No. Costume dyeing is the ESO Plus dye benefit. The gold cost is what it is.
But you can still dye costumes freely.
But you can still dye costumes freely, and you can still dye your actual gear freely. Like I could, I don't know, have
Make that.
blue all my stuff.
Yeah.
I could blue myself.
Whoa.
Myself.
Not on stream, Chris.
I could blue myself. Blue myself. And I just blew myself.
You know what? ESO Live After Dark is starting.
Yes.
It's happening. This is what happens when we have.
I'm just going to go ahead and fire myself. Right. So
I'm waiting for the message from Rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that costume looks great.
Thanks. Yeah. It's
Really
also,
fantastic.
it's also not
looking
blue.
costume. Here it comes. WTF.
So costume dyeing for ESO Plus members.
Yeah.
Still
So
free.
yeah, still
Cool.
free. No charge for any of the original things that we never
But
charged
gold
you
for everything else. But it's actually
But the outfit
not
system,
very expensive.
it's well, everyone has their own budget.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing about everyone having their own budget means that, like, yeah, the Ebb and Shadow style is a little expensive to apply, but you know what's not? Breton. And you know what still looks great? Also Breton.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, players who don't have a very broad gold budget should still have a lot of versatility in the things that they can do. That's the
And
hope,
you don't
at
have to
least.
dye the whole thing too, right? You
Right,
just
yeah.
do a couple at a time as you're getting more and more
Yeah.
money.
And in fact, if you saw
Because it
with
applies all the time.
Outfit 4 here, there's a base color to, oh wow, my pants. Yeah, so this is actually a really good way to see what you haven't applied in the outfit system yet.
Yeah.
Very clear.
If you need to stop because you ran out of money and come back later, for example.
You won't forget.
Yeah, I mean, you'll remember that blue. That blue means replace me.
The belt really pops with
It
that.
sure does.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
All right, one more question, and then we're moving on.
Please.
Just to clarify, just digging a deeper hole here. Are the outfit slots account or character wide?
The number of outfits that you have are character specific. That said, most people have 1 to 7 mains, between 1 and 7. So usually in the 2 range,
Yeah.
the 1 to 2 range. So the outfit slots being character specific will not impact most users.
Okay.
Because you still get a base number.
Right. Everyone has 1 outfit for free.
Yep.
Right,
That's
right,
not
okay,
changing.
yeah.
No, there's no world in which that doesn't happen.
Okay.
I see a lot
So
of
if you have 15
people
characters, you'd have 1 per.
trying to join the raffle. We actually don't use that app here. So
Did somebody say something?
please stop. we will do a giveaway.
One guy ruins it for the
One
whole
guy
chat.
did it. Now
Yeah,
everyone's
who
like
started
raffle.
Although I like the waffle movement happening.
Waffle.
That's good.
Ah.
We will be doing a giveaway soon, but first, we'd like to have Eric talk about some combat changes coming to Update 17, because you guys want to hear that, right?
Exciting.
Well, what do you want to start with? Because you made a
Um,
number of changes that's currently on the PTS to kind of help improve a lot of group situations, like the synergy improvements. What do you want to start off with first?
Yeah, I know people get very excited about the class changes, but for Update 17, we really want to focus on the group gameplay
Yeah.
elements, which was synergies, off balance, blocking, and interrupts. And then we also always support the new content that comes in. So we also made some new item sets. We put those on the PTS, and we've gotten some feedback. So we can go over, some of the tweaks and changes we want to make to that. We do read all of the forum feedback, though, even though, you know, like some of these other areas aren't our main focus. We
Not
are
for
still,
this time.
yeah, we are still looking at that. High priority things we are making tweaks to, and other stuff that we're, you know, just because we're not acting on it for 17 doesn't mean it's getting thrown away or anything.
Right.
We have a document tracking like, okay, here's a big list of player feedback, and every update will prioritize, you know, the most important things, and anything that doesn't make it, we just move it on to the next update.
I've seen the document. It exists.
Yep.
I'm not making this up.
He's not.
Thank
So with the these overall player mechanic changes that we made, first off balance. The intention for this mechanic is that specifically in group play, when you're fighting against bosses, that there will be a period of time that the boss is off balance, and you can use heavy attacks to get a whole bunch of your resources back, and then he goes immune to off balance, and then there's a period of time when you're going back to doing your normal rotation, and then we have a little bit of randomness on there, so it's not always the exact same at the exact same moment, and then he'll be able to be knocked off balance again, and then you can go do your heavy attacks again if you want to. But there'll be, you know, like a nice flow and some variation, because you'll be like, well, he's off balance now, but he's like kind of low health, so I'm just going to use and execute. Like, I don't need to get a whole bunch of resources back anyways. With what people have been seeing on PTS right now, however, is that people would set the boss off balance, and then they set him off balance again, and it would refresh it, and they weren't getting the immunity. So that has been fixed and will be in for the next PTS cycle, and we'd really like to get people's feedback from that, specifically in group play situations where there's multiple players attacking bosses and stuff like that.
Maybe in the new dungeons.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have been kind of waiting to provide their feedback because they knew that this wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please dive in.
And this is a very big mechanical change. So, yeah, we do want to get a lot of feedback before we make any serious tweaks to, like, how long is the immunity period, when are different things happening in timing in relation to that. So we're definitely really excited to get people in here and see it working exactly the way we want it to work. But we are pretty excited about this change to allow people some strategic play over, you know, being able to manipulate their resource pools and determine when they're getting those extra resources back.
We've talked before, and I always hear you say that you want to add a little bit more strategic play and variety and choice to people's gameplay. So it's good to hear that theme is continuing with this group, these group updates with Update 17.
Yeah, it's just like we keep adding like a little bit more every single update, and then it's like, wow, we've done 17 updates, and you have a ton of choices and a ton of item sets, and there's all these different. There's so many things we have to develop new systems to teach people about them now, right? Which is a good place to be at. I'm really happy about it.
Cool. Okay.
Somebody was just asking, will all players be able to see when the boss is off balance, or just the person who caused the off balance?
Good question.
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because it leads into another point about some of the work we did with the off balance changes. Is we now actually have 4 different versions of off balance, which is like the little swirly thing above the head. There's not like a Tweety bird, but it's, you know, maybe like you're seeing
like
stars kind of
Disney.
thing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
So there's the basic version that's
Nice
been in the game the
outfit.
whole time, which is a very tiny thing. And when you're fighting a gigantic trial huge boss, seeing that little tiny
see.
thing, yeah, you're gonna miss it. And it wasn't super important previously to know exactly when off balance was happening, because so many people caused the off balance over and over and over again. It's like, well, you know, whatever, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. It's all kind of pretty much always happening anyways. But now that there's this more strategic play that you need to know when it isn't and it isn't happening, we have 4 different sizes. So like the super big trial bosses have like a gigantic colossal one around their head, and then it scales down, like, you know, versus if it's like a world boss or like a dungeon boss or whatever. So that should really help with people being able to tell when it's happening.
Cool.
Hey, real quick, Chris, do you know where that orange dye is sourced from?
That is Bloodroot wine.
Ah,
Wow,
And that
that's
should be available from Bloodroot Forge.
there you go.
That is
that's
really
a
cool.
great color.
So Chris is actually playing around with our outfit system, coming with Update 17 this February. Well, Eric is talking about the combat changes.
And I actually just used a feature of the outfit system that I forgot to mention earlier.
Oh, what is it?
Share
It
with
is the
us.
material dies. We have 10
tell me
ranks of
more.
material dies for each of the ranks of our base durable materials.
Oh, cool.
And they're pretty useful. So they work a little differently from our customary dies in that they assume the base color for an item that would be made of the material that exists on a piece of gear, which is, it's kind of hard to convey in simple terms, right? So like,
To make it look like it's made out of a certain type of metal or...
right. So for example, I can take the Dwarven ore tier, and if I put it on the metal die slot for my breastplate, it turns gold because that's what Dwarven ore looks
Oh,
like,
yeah.
right?
Nice.
But if I put it on the leather slot, it turns this like brownish color. And if I put it on the cloth slot, it turns a really nice kind of violet.
Oh.
Because
that's
that's
neat.
that's the base colors for all the items of that tier. We realized
that's cool.
that we could do this kind of by accident, and then we got really excited about it.
Put it in the game.
Yeah, so we did it.
That's very
And
cool.
those
Very cool.
you don't have to unlock, right? You just get
You
those.
do have to unlock, but the way to do it is not super bad.
Okay.
You unlock them by deconstructing one item from
Oh, that's real easy.
from the tier. So like, find a dwarven item, break it, you get your dwarven
Now
ore.
you
Yeah.
can do dwarven items everywhere. Cool.
Yeah,
That's neat. I want to play around with that.
yeah,
You can on the PTS.
I know. I think I missed that.
yeah. It's a pretty handy feature because some of our material tiers had colors that you couldn't really replicate within our die system currently. Like my particular favorite, rank 7, which I believe corresponds to the Galatite tier, which has kind of vanished into the mists of the mid-range of champion points.
Yeah, you go
that range
through
that people
pretty
see through.
quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like I've used it on every piece of my armor, and it's got this cool.
Oh, that is-
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Kind of shadowy.
it's like evil lead.
I like it. I like it.
Anyway, back
So-
there.
Yeah. Good.
Going back to combat, that was cool though. It looks really nice.
Yeah, I like it. So off balance, that was one of the major things we did. Synergies, that we've made a bunch of changes, right? Not just to global synergies, making them like really fast and responsive. So like anytime you hit the button, it just fires it off immediately.
Yeah, you made a lot of improvements to how they just function and work.
Yeah, so we've been getting good feedback that people are really enjoying using synergies, whereas before you'd hit it and it like wouldn't go off, and you'd have to like press X a couple times, or like like
Where
you
is
wouldn't.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have now like a very clear like beam of light, like the synergy is right here for all the synergies. Yeah, so those have been working out great. The feedback we've probably gotten the most, quantity of, I would say, is the specific duration. Because we changed the, instead of being able to use, each synergy had a 20-second cooldown, whereas, I use conduit, I can't use the conduit synergy again for 20 seconds. I could use any other synergy again, but that one is on cooldown.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just, sort of pressing that same button over and over again. We wanted a little bit of diversity in the different actions players are taking.
Yeah, so it's not so much when it says that there's a cooldown on all synergies. We know we mentioned that in the patch notes when 3.3.0 came out. So yeah, like what Eric was just saying, it's not that all of them are on cooldown, just the one that you just used is on the cooldown, but then you can use others.
Yeah,
right?
but for each individual ability, it's 30 seconds instead of 20. The reason we did that is the synergies being off global cooldown really increases the pace of combat, because now every second, in addition to wanting to light attack and activate an ability, you can also use a synergy, which is now 3 button presses within the same second. And also you could be like blocking or doing other things that are off the global cooldown. So we didn't want combat to feel too frantic. In addition, we changed a bunch of the synergies to make them just better to use.
Particularly in, was it with 4-player groups or trials, or did you do a combination of both with when you were tweaking these?
Yeah, both. And a lot of it sort of like depends on your group makeup and like the player skill that you have. So Blood Altar is a really good example of one of the ones that we changed, where It used to be an 8-meter radius, which is pretty small, like considering how big some of the fight areas take up a lot of space where you're running around and people are dodging and there's all these AoEs, right? So they're constantly frantically going all over the place. We increased the radius of that to 28 meters from 8. This is a huge increase.
Big, yeah.
So now, as a healer, you can just kind of throw that down, and when someone gets low health, they can kind of just take care of themselves with this ability. And they didn't cost themselves anything by using this, so they saved you mana because you didn't have to heal them. And if they have the, ooh, we're back to some nice colors.
Back to the Veruca Salt game.
Yeah, I stunned myself with how blue I was.
You're also getting, when you get the Undaunted passive, it's whenever you activate a synergy, you're getting resources back. And you can do that, in the middle of your damage rotation. So we didn't want combat to feel too spammy. That is something we're still evaluating. Some people have pointed out, some of the specific synergies, like the spear shards, where they were getting resources back. They're not able to use that particular synergy as frequently. So, that's something we're looking at tweaking and stuff like that. But keep in mind with the synergies, you're kind of saving resources just using other synergies as well, and you're saving the global cooldowns of, instead of having to wait for when I press spear shards, not use any abilities, I can do other things during that time.
Right.
So, there's a lot of different interconnected pieces to this.
What's next on your cheat sheet there?
I was like, which thing do I want to talk about?
Whatever you'd like. Whatever you'd like.
With the blocking changes, one of the things we've been hearing some feedback from players is sometimes they're unclear on which attacks can be blockable and which attacks are not blockable, and which attacks are dodgeable, which attacks are not dodgeable. So we did a few tweaks to some abilities. And we have a few more coming up in future PTS updates, but we're working towards sort of a more clear, sort of unified vision of should things be blockable or dodgeable, or should they not?
And can you tell?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we're doing more in that with the PTS, and I think that's going to be a continued effort that we're going to be working on through the next couple updates as well.
Great.
And of course, we're reading all your feedback.
Yep. And then, the last piece was about interrupts. As you recall, the changes we made to interrupts is that when someone's doing like a cast time ability, you now can like see a glowy, sparkly thing on them. In the same way, when a monster is casting an ability, you see that, and then you're like, okay, I need to bash this guy. One of the things we're trying to work on adjusting is the gameplay of interrupts and cast time abilities when two players are fighting each other. Because the monsters have cooldowns on all their abilities, right? So they might stop you from casting, but then they're going to let you go.
It's a little more predictable.
Yeah. And like, okay, I'm going to get some opportunities to cast this ability. When you're fighting a player, they can just bash you as much as they want, right? And if they're really fast and on the ball with bashing you, you're never going to be able to activate that ability. You start casting it, they bash you. You start casting it, they bash you.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it feels like, that like gameplay loop is just kind of like stuck, right?
Yeah,
And like you can't really make any progress. So we wanted it to be a little bit more cyclical. So when you get bashed now, that ability that you were casting, and just that one ability. So if you have other cast time abilities, you can cast them, but that one will go on cooldown for 3 seconds. So it's like it's kind of like a little timeout of like, all right, you can't cast this one for a little bit, but then after that you'll have CC immunity because you'll get stunned. So you are paying a higher cost of having to CC break. After you get out of the stun though, and you're CC immune, then you can cast that ability without being interrupted for the next 7 seconds while it ends.
Cool.
So there's a period of, okay, he's casting it, he's on cooldown, he can't cast it now for a couple seconds, he will be able to cast this for free. So there's kind of some interesting...
Kind of a back and forth.
Yeah, and like strategic use of, do I want to interrupt this right now? You're like, well, I'm at full health, so maybe I'll just let him hit me with this. and then he tries to do a follow-up one, and then I'll bash that one, and I can heal myself up.
Right, so it's deciding when to use your CC.
Exactly. Or maybe like, well, I'm going to roll dodge this one, but then the next one, my roll dodge will be on cooldown, or, it'll have the increased cost, right? So then I'll bash that one, and then my roll dodge will be at reduced cost, so then I'll go back to roll dodging.
Okay.
And then a piece of feedback we got with that was about the immovable potions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, Chris knows about those.
Yeah.
Working on the systems team, being
Yeah.
like, can I call you like the lead crafter? Is that appropriate?
You just call me the crafting guy.
crafting guy.
The lead
Master.
Chris.
Crafting
I'm just the
guy.
crafting guy.
Is guru? Is that too far?
I kind of like that.
I don't know. I feel like guru kind of suggests
A beard.
yeah.
That's true.
You can do the invisible
That's
beard.
true. Yeah. Or like a cat thing, maybe that
Yeah.
you could like.
Yeah, so Eric came to me a bit back and he was saying immovable potions are probably lasting way too long. They kind of trivialize CC in group combat play, specifically in PvP. And I said, yeah. So we basically break potions and poisons down into these duration tiers or categories.
Yeah.
And potions previously only had normal and short, which is basically short and long. Whereas poisons had 4. Poisons had normal, short, shorter than short, and shorter than shorter than short.
So there's a lot of granularity with it.
Yeah, there's a lot more granularity with poisons because we didn't want to have like just long and short when putting things on other people, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of introduced the shorter than short duration paradigm to potions for the immovable
Yeah.
bots.
So this is the first thing that has a duration that short.
Yeah, it's the first brief duration poison.
Yeah.
Potion. Ah. There are plenty of brief poisons.
So the net result of that is now instead of 16 seconds, the max duration you can get on movable will be about 10.
Yeah, about 10.4.
Assuming you have the extra passive, right? That'll give you
Yeah.
increased duration.
Yeah.
That'll
And
be
that's-
in Monday's PTS patch, yeah?
Yeah, it should be. Right, you got those patch notes all ready to go?
Yeah, if you send me the rest of them.
No.
Hey, I have people for that. I have my best people working on that.
People for that?
Don't you mean best
You have a
person?
guy?
Yeah.
Best,
No,
best,
no, like a guy, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Do you want to answer a few questions? Did you have other things you wanted to go through first?
Well, I could talk about some item set changes, but I think it might be good to take some questions.
We can take a
go to
few
the-
questions, yeah. Let's see. Sorry, these
I
are
like that one, Chris.
later questions.
I like that.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Sorry. Somebody was asking if we're considering toning down Zons, one of the new item sets.
Oh,
That was just what you were going to talk
that's
about. wasn't
great
it?
because that was
About
one of the
that.
item set things we were talking about, so that's
About
easy.
that.
Yeah, you could say it was overperforming a little bit.
A little
and-
strong.
And you would be accurate in that as a statement. So I think what we did want to have like that sort of exciting moment in PvP particularly where you have the beam on the guy and like the damage is ticking up and up and up. And you're like, uh-oh, man, like what am I going to do? Like this is getting really high. So, but obviously like the amount of damage it was causing was a little bit too high. So I think we fixed some things with like one of the ticks wasn't working correctly, and then like the cooldown's going to be longer on it as well. So like the net damage per second is going to be significantly lower and more in line with what you see on some of the other monster masks. However, this is a single target monster mask, whereas most of the others are AoE. So it will be slightly higher because it's single target and it's a little bit, it has to ramp up and does the
Right,
damage over
right.
time. So there's a little bit more counterplay to it.
Okay. Is that coming in on Monday?
Yeah.
It's PTS?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be.
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask here. So YOLO can Swagenborn. He had a couple questions that are
name.
relevant.
I know that
Oh,
name.
he's been on the. I think
Yeah.
we've
He's
asked
He's been
his
around
questions
for a
before.
while. I know.
Yeah.
He's been around the block. If I use a different source of CC immunity, such as movable pots, can I still cast without interruption?
Yeah, and that yeah, what we were talking about before is that was specifically why we had to decrease the duration from 16 seconds down to 10, because 16 seconds of like free casting is like
Still.
Another question, boy. How will the new changes to off balance affect DK Lava Whip?
And Power Lash,
Power
I guess.
Lash.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, the Power Lash was like really good in PvP because you could just like use that alternate version of it, which is more damage, more healing, and no cost. You know, until the guys off balance fell off, basically. So we've tweaked Whip a little bit for the next update, where we like there was like a 5-second cooldown on how often you could off balance people as well. So like we took that off, but then like added a short cooldown so you couldn't just spam the ability. So you'll only be able to use it a couple times while the guy is off balance instead of like, you know, over and over and over again.
Right.
So we're gonna see how that plays with the next BTS and get feedback for that.
That's the next incremental patch?
Yeah.
Okay.
One more question, and then you can get into the item set changes. With the increased cooldown of Synergies, are you considering looking at adjusting shards or orbs since it shares a cooldown?
Yeah, some people have been like, well, I really need those extra resources. One thing to consider is that since the synergies are easier to use and you can just use more synergies, that you will be getting from the Undaunted passive extra resources back. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest point of contention that we have seen regarding that. So yeah, maybe those specific abilities give a little bit more resources. Maybe the cooldowns come down a little bit. So we still want to get some more feedback and stuff from people before, you know, we commit to one of these
fair.
directions. But yeah, those are the types of things we're looking at in that avenue.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
So when people have feedback, how do you prefer they send it or post it? On the forums or using /feedback? What do you prefer?
He prefers they stick it under his door at home.
Oh, I'm going to have a lot of people showing up at my house. So let's just make sure to put my home address up on the screen right now.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
His home address is actually in the Sextillions.
Yes. Going back to the beginning. Got it. There we go. Yeah.
Five.
I love actually that you gave me the opportunity to talk about feedback.
It's important.
we just get so much feedback, and all of it has some value to us in terms of like, okay, well, this is the thing that players are really concerned about. But the feedback that is the most important, most valuable to us is when it has a lot of detail in it.
Yep.
Yeah,
so saying
because we're
please
dealing
give this
Yeah.
class some love is
Buff DKs
they need a
or
little bit
something.
more.
yeah, like I know every class wants, but like, yeah, we hear that a lot, right? But if you can give specific details, and if you can say, here's why, you know, that they need this buff in particular,
this ability or this morph.
yeah, that'll drastically increase the odds of us doing that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, like even, you know, I don't work in combat directly, but for crafting related matters, you know, I read a lot of feedback, and anytime someone has a really well reason why they're suggesting something, you know, I always read through it. And Eric's the same way.
Yeah.
We read your stuff all the time, guys.
Yeah,
All
And
the time.
considerate.
and in terms of like the visibility,
More Acton light.
when people will write these like legendary posts where they'll go through like all this math and all this detail and stuff, and like at that point it doesn't matter where you post it because someone will see it and they'll say, Eric, this is amazing, read this thing.
check it out.
Yeah, we're linking stuff to him
So
all the time.
the most important part is writing really awesome, really detailed, intricate types of stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to get into the math formulas, but if they're constructive,
Yeah,
and like
Yep.
give details of why
Make a case
this
for
is
it.
important. Yeah, like
And just because we aren't acting on the feedback that you've sent doesn't mean that we aren't reading it or considering it, but we do have to kind of focus on what is best for the game as a whole.
Yep.
So
Right.
that's-
More
that's-
Acton light.
What? Oh, the hat?
Oh, the armor that you're
That's more
wearing?
yeah, somebody in chat is like, what is that?
It's all more Acton.
Morak tongue.
Actually, because it's more Acton, my gold cost here is only coming from my dice.
Cool.
And it's that high because I'm dying all 19 slots in the outfit system, which is a whole other thing. But Morag Tong and Imperial, if you have the entitlements for Convert to,
Oh yeah.
are free to apply.
They came with Morrowind and
Morrowind and the Imperial Edition.
Imperial Edition. That's right.
Yeah.
Real quick, I saw Sinbri asking about Templar bug fixes. We do have a few coming in Monday's BTS patch.
Yeah.
Puncturing sweeps, I think.
Yeah, great
has some
question.
fixes.
Puncturing sweeps, there's actually a lot to talk about that specific ability. So there's just like the bugs, which should be fixed on Monday, where it's like, oh, it just wasn't healing you, and the impacts weren't
something
playing.
wasn't lining up.
Yeah,
or
they weren't
something.
playing at the right time. Yeah, so those things we just like straight up, yep, those things got fixed. There was like one which, we're talking about like the really detailed feedback. One guy was like, hey, I'm doing like 7 less damage than I was before. And like,
Oh, who was that?
Oh, yeah.
I think, was it like Joy Division or?
I'm almost positive it was Joy Division.
Yeah, because he's always like detailed and like on the
Let me
ball
show
too.
you.
So like, yeah, he is like when he says stuff, we're like, all right, well he like if he says it, like there's probably
It's been
something
tested,
like
yeah.
there's very good odds there's something going on here. So yeah, we looked into it and it was like when Woody had fixed the previous bug with this ability. We had like updated the numbers and there was like a very small rounding error that happened. So we're like, yep, you're totally right, dude. So we updated the math with that one.
BTS testing in action.
Yeah, fix the rounding bug for that. Which
The same
that was good because that's a small thing that can like slip through the cracks. But yeah, we have been pretty diligent in reading this PTS feedback.
Great.
So why don't you get in? I'm sorry, were you not finished? Please finish. See, remember the beginning of the show? I interrupt people. That's just what I do.
Hey,
Stop it.
I
All the
assume you have
time.
something very important to say, so you interrupt me whenever you need to. The one last thing with the puncturing strikes ability is there is a little bit of like weirdness where people are saying they're having difficulties like hitting a target, and that's because the animation timing is a little bit different from the timing of when it's dealing damage. So we're looking at, and that's like we got to make some sort of more robust animation changes. So that's sort of like a long-term goal is to fix that. Not for 17, but something easy we could do as a short-term solution, just kind of help people out and give them a little bit more leeway
Sure.
with the ability, is increasing the radius of it. So instead of hitting people on a 5 meters in front of you, it's going to be 6 meters.
Oh, okay.
And one last like real quick thing I wanted to say about it is a lot of people were talking about how it's a cone. The ability is actually a rectangle, and it says it's a 6x8 rectangle, so it hits farther than it does wide, but it's not going to do like this thing. It's doing a rectangle.
So the ability's not lying to you.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Okay.
This time.
Okay, now I can talk again. I was on cooldown. So you said that you wanted to go through some of the item set changes.
Yeah.
Are these things coming to next week's PTS or just sometime in 17?
We have
Maybe a combination.
Yeah, we have a mix. Most of them though in next whenever the next BTS is. I was gonna say a date, but that probably wouldn't have been good. So first up, the Jorval's guidance. A lot of people are getting excited about this set because it's like, oh my god, this might be like really crazy because we can combine it with all these different types of abilities we're doing. And this one, we like the design of it because it allows for a lot of creativity and flexibility on the player's side of, I can combine it with these 6 different abilities, and then they all got this really big duration buff, and now it's like super powerful. So finding like the exact right balance point is kind of tricky, and we're sort of messing with the levers there. So we may end up reducing the bonus a little bit because it's like, wow, you can use this on Warhorn, which is like the most powerful buff in the game that hits 12 people, and now it's got a pretty significant duration increase. So we haven't done anything to it right now, but that's when we're like, okay, let's definitely keep our eye on this and see, think about all these different crazy possibilities and things people are doing with it. Then the Zon set, I think we're good on that. We were talking about that.
Yeah, we did touch on that earlier.
Plague Slinger.
What a name.
Right? And like the
Slinging
visuals
plagues.
really match like exactly what it's like, a dead rat corpse that just shoots poison out of it, right?
I love it.
Which is like really, really fun idea, and that is why we really like going through the dungeons and playing through them and looking at the mechanics and then basing the sets from the dungeon off that. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of cool ideas. We're like, that's so awesome, like that has to be in the set, right? That's amazing. Someone was saying with this one,
Nice.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Happy apple juice.
Oh,
I mean, they're still saying no sound.
Yeah, I think.
how do we sound now, guys?
So quiet.
We won't know for about
I know.
45 seconds.
Sound is good. Sound is good.
Okay.
Okay.
We're back.
All right.
Okay,
Cool.
let's continue.
We're all robo.
Yeah, so it's interesting, the plate slinger, they're saying it's too easy to counter. So, like, there's a, yeah, very, like,
Sound is distorted.
That's
It's
working
the
as
robo.
intended.
like in a good way. Robo the robot! Ah!
Who's your favorite Kraftwerk band, and is it Kraftwerk?
Someone said perfect sound, so.
I think
It's not us. Sound is good coming out.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep talking like a robot.
right.
And then, like, there's no problems, right?
ESO Live Robot Edition.
Yeah, now with more robots. So plate slinger, it's a little bit too easy to avoid because you can just run out of the area. It takes 6 seconds to deal a full amount of damage and projectile kind of slow. So we made the damage happen faster. It's now over 4 seconds, so the hits will come quickly. There is less travel speed, so it'll get to the target really quickly to damage them. So that's what we have coming up. We may look at we have a few more things. We want to put that in there and see how that goes. And then there's the Calorian's Legacy, which is kind of like the opposite problem, where it was too hard to be able to stop that one because it would just like shoot off a really fast projectile at you, and you'd be like, whoa, crap, like where did that come from? And it did like really high damage. Sounds a little too bursty. So with that one now, you'll see these like lift shoulders spawn in, and it'll hang out there for a second, so you're like, uh-oh, it's about to happen, and then it'll fire at you. So you have some time now to block, heal yourself, roll dodge, whatever, prepare for what's about to happen.
I'm hearing bad things.
Yeah, everyone in chat is saying they just can't understand Robo at all.
Okay.
Someone called me robot with like, yeah, it was very clever.
stream is starting out.
Want to read it?
Might fix it.
I'm just gonna keep putting my colors on.
Just keep on. Oh,
No, I'm hearing awful buzzing right now.
bad things are happening.
I'll
Someone
just
said restart, please.
Okay.
move this road.
Let's try it, guys.
Okay.
Actually, that's really nice looking.
Business. Good.
Yeah, just move that road right up.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, man, I hear
That
it.
sounds fantastic.
It's not coming through here though. You're not hearing that over your earphones, right? Something is
Is it? It's because we're casting too. Like, I feel like that's a more problem.
something in your ear is definitely.
Are we off?
Yeah, yeah.
We finished up the stream.
Wait,
Thank you for your patience.
there's a glitch in the matrix. A small glitch.
So when we left off, we were talking about the last item set that you wanted to mention, yeah?
Yeah, which,
No,
Nope, still no audio?
Robo voice.